And I'm not kidding when I say that 8 weeks ago in March, she testified before Congress that Iran did not appear to be building a nuclear bomb. This was 8 weeks ago, you guys. Take a look. Listen.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
So what changed, you guys? What happened? Because now we're in this phase of gaslighting. We got all these IDF bots pretending that we're not America first for noticing that the messaging has completely changed over a couple of weeks. What actually changed overnight? And why did it change overnight? And the answer is Bibi Netanyahu. What Bibi Netanyahu wants is what he gets. He is the effective president of the United States and has been for a very long time, okay? After 2 years of the media persistent in their messaging surrounding the horrors of October 7th, which, by the way, the IDF mysteriously elected to pull their troops away from the border on that day, October 7th, when mysteriously also the IDF chose mysteriously to ignore 2 warnings which came from Egypt that Hamas was planning an attack. They just said, you know what, we're going to ignore that. This is all facts, by the way. The also mysterious decision by the government to ignore a plan, which they had intercepted, a plan from Hamas to take 200 hostages. They had nothing about that. All of this leading up to that moment in October 7th, when for some inexplicable reason, the IDF was just not able to get any one of their very many soldiers to intervene on that attack for 2 entire hours. Utterly implausible. Don't believe me? Just ask Charlie Kirk.
How did these guys not know this was taking place?
So I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier, right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question.
Questions that Bibi Netanyahu doesn't want to answer. By the way, I should add here that in addition, when the IDF finally did arrive after 2 hours, they were instructed via the Hannibal Directive, which is a military directive that they have, to shoot anything that moved, including Jewish people. So the Israeli government was instructed to not let anybody survive, to kill everybody because they didn't want anybody to be taken as hostages. So yeah, a lot of questions to be asked. How many of their own people did they kill? And yeah, why did it take so long for them to get to that border, which they mysteriously decided to leave vacant on that day? Now, Bibi, you would never know this because the Western media doesn't cover it, has been facing a slew of corruption charges, trials for what he did or did not do on that day. He also mysteriously instructed his administration not to record the discussions that they were having, as is required by law. He wanted the transcripts from that day to be edited. Among very many other of the accusations of corruption, Bibi's cabinet coordinated verified lies and propaganda to be shared with the Western media. Okay, you can read all of this, by the way, in Haaretz, an Israeli newspaper, because you certainly can't read in any of the Western ones. And why is that? Well, because they have their marching orders. Because virtually everything that we have watched and listened to over the last 3 years has been one long, unhinged propagandist effort in preparation for this war. AIPAC dollars spent, journalists funded to overreact to any and everything. I'm not kidding, right? So sensitive. Everything is now anti-Semitism. Everything is the Holocaust. Everything is Adolf Hitler. Every person that you knew that was in public magically over the last 2 years got possessed by the spirit of Adolf Hitler. At least that's the version, like according to Zionists. They became radical and they became obsessed and they became obvious to the quote unquote conspiracy theorists like me who told you the reason why they were acting this way. It was to prepare for war with Iran. I've been saying this, I'm not kidding, for over 2 years. Here's a clip of me saying it again just last year. Take a listen. Iraq, Libya, Syria. He says it, we do it. And now he's saying that Iran might kill President Trump. And if he does, then we just better all say we're going to war right now and not ask any further questions. Let me tell you something right now. Something happens to President Trump, I'm going to have a lot of further questions. And I'm going to make this statement to the American people. Please listen to me. Do not send your sons and daughters to fight in this planned war. They have been planning this war for years, okay? Do not believe them when they say they have weapons of mass destruction. They have been trying this strategy for years in various countries that they want war with, okay? Stop letting these elite oligarchs, very small group of them that benefit from these never-ending wars, allow you to be deluded into emotionality and irrationality and to allow your children to die on foreign soil. Not a single American daughter or son is going to die overseas for this planned war. Call me now, Miss Cleo. Like I said, it was just way too obvious. But I did get something wrong there. The assassination attempt of Donald Trump, or maybe he did experience some sort of an assassination of his opinion, his soul, because I'm not sure what exactly happened to the Trump that I just showed you, the Trump that I voted for, because today he is singing a very different tune. If you've been paying attention to the last 24 hours, he's now attacking people that have remained consistent, that are standing against our involvement in the Middle East on the basis of the fact that regime changes have never worked there. He's attacking, of all people, Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, who we showed you on the show yesterday, was very gracious in his assessment of Trump, that he has a good heart, he's a good man. And here's why I don't agree with the Iran regime change efforts. He spoke about this very above board with Steve Bannon. Okay, a reporter caught Trump off guard at the G7 meeting. He's standing next to Keir Starmer, and they ask him to respond to something that Tucker never said. And here is what Trump says about Tucker Carlson. Take a listen.
The other day, response to Tucker Carlson criticizing you, saying that you were complicit in the war.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen.
And quickly, have you spoken to the...
In case you didn't hear him, he said, let Tucker Carlson go get a television network and say it there, and maybe people will listen. So I guess he's kind of trying to take a dig at Tucker Carlson, even though Tucker never took a dig at him, and implying that Tucker Carlson is no longer relevant because he's not on TV. And what does he do there? He just exposes himself for being out of touch. Really? You have to have a television network to be heard in America today? What next? Tucker Carlson, go get a fax machine? Go get a fax machine, Tucker Carlson, if you want people to read your messages. That's how I read that. Completely ridiculous. But he doubled down on this. He went on to Truth Social and he said, Tucker Carlson, who has maintained that we should not send our sons and daughters to die in another regime change war, since all of them have been a remarkable failure, at least for America, not for Israel. Trump tweets this: somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Now, if you're wondering, wait a minute, didn't Tulsi Gabbard literally just testify in March that Iran did not appear to be building a nuclear weapon? Yeah, she did. And Trump has this to say about Tulsi Gabbard, who is his director of national intelligence. You can just dismiss what she says, according to Trump. Take a listen.
Mr. President, you've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having.
What is that, guys? You don't care what your director of national intelligence is telling you? You don't care? Because Bibi Netanyahu, called you up and said, yeah, we need a pretext for war. Like we always need a pretext for war. We're constantly bombing and killing people all the time. We're committing a Holocaust in Gaza. Could you just go out there and tell them they had they were building a nuclear bomb? They weren't. And there's been no evidence of that outside of Bibi Netanyahu's trust me, bro, because I guess you have to come up with something to make people hysterical to believe that we have this never-ending right to murder human beings. That's what it is. It's a carte blanche that has been handed to Israel to continually murder human beings in the Middle East, to use American soldiers to effect regime changes in the Middle East at the benefit of no one but Israel, okay? While they go, oh, well, we kept our hands clean. We didn't get involved in that one. Yeah, if you think we're stupid and we're not paying attention to what the results of all of these wars have been, Bibi Netanyahu standing before Congress and demanding that we go to war with all these countries, and then we do it. And then they go, oh, we had nothing to do with that. We benefited, but that's just lucky. We benefited Syria. Yeah, we benefited Libya. Yeah, we benefited. That's just Iraq. Yeah, 9/11. But I don't know. We're just lucky that way. So right now, the lack of consistency, it is stunning to watch Trump do this. He's all over the place right now on social media. I mean, he initially signaled right away that America had nothing to do with what happened in Iran, that America was not going to get involved, that he was negotiating peace. Then he signaled that he didn't have any idea that the attack was coming, but also that he did know that the attack was coming. And now he's tweeting we. He's literally using we to describe what is happening in Iran right now. Let's just take a look at some of these tweets. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Oh, well, hey, yeah, we've got our planes in the skies. Okay, American troops might die, but USA, 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 because our stuff is so good and good looking in the sky. The big bad American planes are in the sky. What does he think? We're stupid? And the people online that are trying to pretend that we are the ones betraying Trump for holding him accountable to his promises that he made to us when we voted for him, when we encouraged other people to vote for him. You're pretending that we're the ones that are problematic? This level of gaslighting that's taking place. You got Laura Loomer out there saying, screenshot every tweet that's against Donald Trump. Let me tell you something, sweetheart. You better start capturing Donald Trump's tweets that are going out right now because they seem pretty against Donald Trump's ideas of yesteryear. That's all I'm saying. Everything that he said, every bit of BS that he called out, calling out the neocons, the people that were on the face of the Never Trump movement, he's now aligned with all of them. Everyone who hated him and called him Adolf Hitler, he's now locked arm in arm with them. Yeah, he agrees with Nikki Haley, the Lindsey Grahams. He agrees with every single person that we had to fight on his behalf to allow him to hold the office that he is holding. Yeah, he now agrees with all of them. And we're problematic. Now we are presumably the kooks. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. And it should infuriate you to a certain level if you are invested in the idea that politics can be the answer. And the truth is that it can't. It really can't. And I have not been so stressed because, as all of you have noted, I have pulled away increasingly from politics and have been calling out the left and the right because it's become apparent to me that both sides lie. Am I a little surprised by Trump? Yeah, I am. Especially because it's just so soon and so fast and so obvious as he's talking about building hotels. The Trump hotel to be built in the Gaza Strip while there are literally children starving today there. What kind of a tweet is that? I mean, it's just, I get it that Miriam Adelson gave you $100 million. That's a lot of money. But man, have some dignity, man. Have a little bit of respect for the human beings that are still dying and have been being bombed for 2 years. 2 entire years they have been effectively carpet bombed. And you and Jared Kushner are out there talking about building hotels and what an impressive real estate portfolio you might have if people began to see Gaza as an investment. All we have to do is murder these people. And what's quite stunning, I want to add to this, is you reflect on it, and I think there's something like 1 million adults in Gaza. With the amount of money that we have given Israel, other countries have given Israel, the amount of money that has been spent on the bombs that they are dropping, that are being manufactured on the behalf of Israel, they could have just gone to every Palestinian family and offered them money for their homes, right? Think about that. They could have just gone and said, hey, I'm going to give you $1 million for your home, because this is a nice piece of real estate. But they chose to murder them. They are choosing to carpet bomb them, to gaslight the American people, and to refer to us as anti-Semites for noticing the Holocaust. They are choosing evil, death, and destruction, while at the same time demanding that you recognize that these are God's chosen people. So did Trump betray his base? Did Trump betray his mandate? Well, Dave Smith definitely thinks so. Here's what he had to say over on Breaking Points. Take a listen.
Yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. Wow. And not on some not on some ridiculous